What did we cover the last time we were here? Huh? I'm asking, what did we cover the last time we were here? What did we cover?
And shall now cover thy neighbor.
Okay. All right. Anything else we went over in the last time we were here? Whoa, unto you. Whoa. Sharon still does it at work sometimes. She'll look and go, whoa. She's trying to tell them something they just don't understand.
That's right.
So, after covering the 10 Commandments, we are diving in another direction tonight. One that many people will find some things and some similarities on of what people deal with and experience. But let me ask you some questions before we get started. All right, we're giving Courtney May one more assignment. Steve said she needed to take. Just look up the Bible dictionary, KJV dictionary. That's what you do first. Look it up. And then when you get there, let me know. I'll tell you the word to put in. Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. So, let me ask you all a question. Has anybody in this, huh? Your name came up. How mysterious is that? Let me just ask you a couple things for just a moment. And I want you just to be honest with these questions. You're going to see why here in just a moment. But first one I'm going to ask you was, have you ever felt like giving up? Okay. Have you ever felt like giving up? Have you ever sat there and just wondered when you get to that point and stage of felt like giving up? Have you ever got to that stage and point of thinking, how did I get here? How can this be happening? Or it feels like that everything around has changed and it's not like it used to once be. And challenging times, which we are in, with many things going on in our area and our nation and in the world. But there's some things that we want to look at tonight regarding that word, overwhelmed. Now, I'm going to tell you, right now, some people go with this, some people don't. You know how many people right now already have their Christmas tree up and lit? Full decorated, already up and going. I know several people I work with that's already got it up and going. Trees are decorated, everything's fully loaded and going. The outside lights will be plugged in any day, if not already. But as this time frame builds and the holiday time goes, you notice that people easily, in what we would call most times in this time it gets so busy in the holiday rush, that they become overwhelmed. Well, let's take away the holidays primarily and say that in most people's lives in 2025, you could say that most people are overwhelmed. We're going to look at that and do some things and some thinking on that, because there's always a good place to go. Now, I'm gonna ask you this. What do you know about an eagle's nest? It's up high. What else do you know about the nest of an eagle? Anybody know anything about a nest of an eagle?
Inside of their nest, they put thorns.
Okay. Thorns.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else know anything about the nest? They actually have a name. Their name is known as Aries, Aeries. And they are built by both parents. Both parents build this nest. And in North America, this is the largest nest built with an average of up to 6 feet in diameter and 2 to 4 foot deep as far as depth on the nest. And the largest recorded eagle's nest was over 9.5 feet wide and 20 feet deep. Interestingly, when they build this nest, the mom and dad both build the nest together. They use the same nest for years, and every season they add more to it. They add more sticks and more twining to it, which causes them to grow larger and heavier over time. Some have been known to weigh up to a ton. A nest weighing up to a ton. The largest recorded nest weighing by a large bird of an eagle size has been 3 tons. Some major weight made by this nest. And we see all of the parts of where they put them. The average nest in the North Americas of an eagle is 60 to 200 feet off the ground. They're usually near a food source, river and lake, which provides the water, perching spots. Some have built on cliffs or other things, but they do this for long-term use when they build this nest. Now, I want you to think about the fact that challenging times, especially as we're in and going forward, have left a lot of people in a busted nest, is what we're going to call it, a busted nest. And interestingly about that is that it's nice. Now think about it. Think about how many people once knew of going home to this nice, cozy home where home was at, things were good, things were comfortable, and then something happens and it's not the same anymore. Well, what's interesting about this is the fact that God can easily use the nest to be dismantled. Your nest to be dismantled. Many Christians have developed what is known as nesting syndrome. Does anybody know what nesting syndrome is?
Satisfied with what they're doing.
They folded their wings and they are very comfortable and satisfied with the security of where they're at and what they've got going on. But it's interesting that the mother eagle only feeds the eaglets for so long. And after that, she don't feed them anymore. Not only that, science also says that she will start disturbing the nest so that their potential is so that they will get out of the nest to fly. Interestingly, in Deuteronomy 32, verses 11 and 12, says this very thing about this nest. Tell us what that says, Sharon.
As an eagle stirreth up her nest, floateth over her young, spreadeth, oh my Lord, abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on her wings. So the Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him.
The Bible tells us in another book, you tell me what book it's in, where it says about mounting up with wings as eagles. Where's that verse? Isaiah. Which where's it at? You know that in order to mount up your wings as an eagle, that you have to get out of the nest. You know that? If you're going to mount up your wings as eagles, you have to get out of the nest. Matter of fact, not only that, you have to get into the air. Is that not true? Wings have no purpose and use or benefit if they are not in flight, in the air. You think about it, other than insulation and covering a bird, you find that very common. Do you know that not only do we have Christians that have got nesting syndrome, we also have churches. We also have churches that have become nester churches because comfort is valued above everything that they have. They do not want anybody to feel uncomfortable. They do not want anybody to not know their surroundings and what they're in of being uncomfortable. Do you not know churches right now that you can go in that there will be nothing said to offend anyone? Sure. Sin is not mentioned or preached. Actually, there's Bible versions that we've got people right now holding in their hands all over the place that doesn't mention hell because that is just so discomforting to them. So they go to Nestor churches where comfort is valued above everything else. I want you to think about tonight, when we talk about being overwhelmed, it is better to try to fly than to sit in the nest and die. It is better to try and fly than to sit in the nest and die. One of the interesting parts of that is old brother Job. Old brother Job said this very thing while dealing with the very environment of being overwhelmed. Who had Job 29 and 18? What did it say?
Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand.
I shall die in my nest. Think about the fact that Job, in all the turmoil and anguish and things that he is going through, he says, I wish that this was like the old days. I wish I could go back to how things used to be and when everything was cozy and comfortable in my place. Have you ever wondered how something so good or something that seems so right has turned out not quite the way that we thought that it would go? Well, there's a few things I want us to have in our minds because we're talking about being overwhelmed. Let me just give you a few things to have in your mind. First of all, the end time battle. You're in it right now. It's raging, and you're there. And Satan and his job is to plant every possible thought that he can get in you in the mind. And that's exactly what he's after, is the mind. He wants to get every way he can trap into your mind all of the thoughts because there is a constant diet of sensuality that's being served. Walmart now has sensor-friendly shopping hours. Have y'all seen the sign? What is it, 7 to 9? What is that time on the sign? It says 7 to something for sensor-friendly shopping hours. We are now not allowed to do things that would be sensually offending to people in a lot of healthcare regions and roles. There's all these places and things that we see, just as we are right now and what we're going through, that this constant sensuality is being served. But get in your mind now that the end time battle is raging. Get that in your mind for what we're going forward to see. All right, so Roger Cook had 2 Timothy 3. Tell us what those verses, very common verses, what did those say?
For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. I go on.
4 and 5.
Oh, for traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Such turn away.
If we were going to take those and just paraphrase them into lay terms, this right here is a lay terms list of what we see. How many people do you know right now, Sharon, honey, don't go out there, sit down. Sit down, it ain't good. Well, we just read all these things. I just wanted to make sure you wasn't trying to back. But anyway, 2 Timothy 3 tells us that people will live for nobody but themselves. We see that now. They'll boast about everything they've done and what good it has been and everything. Then we see the arrogant and the proud. What about the children that are disobedient to their parents? What do you think? How's that raging today?
Started what, 2000?
Huh?
Late 2000.
So, I call this the generation of the uns. You can remember this. The generation you're watching right now of everything going on around you is the generation of the uns. The unholy, the unthankful, the unloving, and the unforgiving. That's the generation of the uns. Now we're going back to Job. Job and his anguish and all these problems and all these things that he went through and lived in, because we're talking about being overwhelmed. The end time battle is raging and you're in it. But Job being so overwhelmed, there was 3 questions that came to my mind when looking at Job and what he went through in his dealings with God. I want you to see these three questions so that you have an idea of what some things come up when we are overwhelmed. So, first one, can God be trusted when you are submerged in suffering?
Yes.
I thought this was interesting. Amongst everything that Job lost, he learned how to praise God like he had never done before. So it's funny that he learned to praise God even more when all of what he had was taken away. Faith is not about escaping suffering, but enduring suffering through praise. And Job made up his mind, as you could say it, that he could trust God even when he was submerged in the suffering. Question one that we have to remember is, can God be trusted when submerged in suffering? The next one that comes up in all of Job's peril is, can God be trusted when the people you love forsake you? Who had Job 19:14? Job 19 and 14. Very thing that Job said here. What's it say?
My kinsfolk have failed, and my familiar friends have forgotten me.
The one thing that we find when we feel overwhelmed, we start looking around us and wondering how we got here. How did we get to this place? And what's happening? Job even got to the point that he says, my own family and the ones that I thought I could count on have failed me. Have you ever been there? That the very family or the very ones you think you could count on are not showing up when you think they will. One thing that the Bible teaches us about the Lord is that he will never leave or what? Forsake you. Job learned this, what I would like to call the hard way. Then the next thing that I find the most interesting about this part of being overwhelmed, especially for Job, was, can you trust God when you're walking through extreme darkness? Who had Job 13:15? What's that one say?
Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Is a declaration of unwavering faith in God despite the suffering.
Though he slay me. Now think about that. Job was in absolute darkness. I want you to think about being in Job's shoes for just a minute. You have no clue what God was doing. No clue what God was doing. And Job, even in the sense, thought that God owed him some answers. But guess what? God never answered his questions, did he? Out of all that he went through and all the suffering and everything Job dealt with, he thought that God owed him some answers. But as interesting as it may come, God never answered his questions. He let Job continue walking in darkness. So, can you trust God when he gives you no explanation and no light in your situation? God eventually did remind Job of his sufficiency and sympathy. And Job again responded with the praise. What did God do when he restored Job and what he had? What did he do when he done that? What's the Bible say? When he restored to Job the things that he had lost, not only did he do that, what else did he do? He doubled it. But God never answered him and never gave him the answers the whole time that he thought that God owed him some questions or some answers to his questions of why and some of the things that he was going through. How many believe that Jesus first is coming? Let's do this two questions. How many believe that Jesus is coming?
Amen. Yes.
How many believe he's coming soon?
Yes.
In 1934, there are records of preachers preaching that Jesus is coming soon. The song in the Blue Hymnal was written over 75 years ago. Jesus is coming soon. But, I want to give a but right there. Before that happens, Satan has one goal. I want you to think about this. Before the Lord comes back, Satan has one goal. He's got to take out as many believers as he can. See, the lost is not as much of a concern as it is those that believe, that may be a witness to those that are lost. You are the target today. And the more that the devil can keep you distracted and dysfunctional, the less that you are going to do anything potential in the last days. One thing that we cannot do to win the war, we cannot do is win the war until we expose the enemy. Until you expose the enemy, you cannot win the war. I'll give you some examples of exposing the enemy. What's really behind the abortion industry or the narcotic cartels? What motivates people of sexual perversion and confusion to think that they're not a male, not a female, they're one or changed to the other, or they're not either one? What motivates that, and what is behind it?
Devil.
The mastermind. The devil himself, the mastermind, is what's driving that. Because he has no other job but to take out as many believers as he can. Because we're getting closer every day to the Lord coming back. Now, if your job is to steal, kill, and destroy, then your intimate major is the fact that you've got to take out as many when you see. So I want you to think about tonight, when we're dealing with being overwhelmed, we're dealing with things in life, times in life, things we don't want to be in prominent dealings with. There's one thing that I want you to see, and I looked at this very closely, and I pulled some examples for us tonight so you can see this very truth. That when you're walking, God is working. When you're walking, God is working. Remember, you've got to get out of the nest. The nest of harboring a secure place of comfort is not mounting up with wings as eagles. Okay, I want you to imagine a few things. First, imagine that you're a basket maker who has been approached out of the blue to make a special basket for a special reason. So you take the papyrus reeds and you start weaving them together and get them woven real good and tight, because this is a special basket for a special purpose. And you coat it with tar and pitch so that it's double coated inside and out so that it's waterproof. And then the person comes and pays you and collects their basket that they ask you to make, and you never see it again. Years later, on down the road, you discover how that very same piece of craftsmanship that you made saved the life of an infant named Moses, marked by the Almighty to be Israel's greatest deliverer. See, one day the basket had to be made. Just think about this for a moment in a position. Or, I'll give you another example. Imagine that you live in a town called Bethlehem, and a clan of shepherds is really concerned about the bears and the lions that's attacking all the flocks. So the shepherds ask for you to make them a crude weapon and help them that's small enough that they can carry it, but strong enough that it'll defeat the predators, because they're killing all the sheep. Your name will never be spoken of as the creator of this weapon, but this slingshot will go down in history, made famous by a teenager warrior named David when he used it to slay Goliath. Just think about that. While you're walking, God is working. Okay. 1,000 years later, we go to the same city, town of Bethlehem. Imagine that you own a hotel. And now they've got a major tax imposed on all the families, and everybody's got to go back to their birthplace for a census. You hear a knock on your door, and before you stands a man and a pregnant woman on a donkey. And it looks like she's about to pop. And they ask for a room, and you say, "I don't have any. It's full." People come in from everywhere to come in and deal with their taxes for this census. So what you offer them is the only thing you've got left, and it's the stable that you're keeping all the animals in for the guests. Their mules and horses, camels, whatever they've rode in, is in that stable where you keep your guests' livestock. That's all you've got to offer them. You're unaware that you just provided the birthplace where the Messiah of the world will be born. Your stable will now be celebrated every year when the world remembers the birth of the infant Christ. As we walk in our lives, God is working. Okay. Now, this is some of Hannah's friends, I have to tell you. I'm going to go to Saul for just a moment. We're talking about being overwhelmed, dealing with some things in life. Let's go to Saul for a minute. He's young, living in his father's house. I can just see him when his dad comes to him, and his dad says nothing that we would expect of, hey, get up and go take out the trash, or go get this and bring it in the house, go get the firewood, take out blah, blah, blah. Instead, he says that I've got 3 donkeys missing, and it's your job to find them. Who had 1 Samuel 9 and 3?
Me.
What's that say?
And after the kids, Saul's father were lost, and the kids fled the servants with thee, and the rise, seek the ice.
So, the Bible doesn't say what the relationship was with Saul and his dad. But can you just imagine if you told a teenage son to go get up, take the trash out, go get up and do this, go get up and do that? What would their response be?
Oh, Dad.
No. Huh? Later. Eye roll. You'll get the eye roll at some point in time. That's what we would expect. Huh? Yeah, I'm not your slave. But you know what's interesting is that Saul had no idea that the whole point of this that God had for his life had just begun. Saul, no clue that the mission that his dad was sending him on with a servant to go get find the 3 lost donkeys would culminate his being anointed as the first king of Israel. So his servant and him went on a 3-day journey looking for these wild 3 donkeys that's run plumb off. Searched everywhere, looked everywhere, couldn't find them. And then in 1 Samuel 9 and 5, who had that? What did it say?
And when they were come to the land of Ziph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, come and let us return, lest my father leaves, carrying for the ass and hay God for us.
So it basically says, let's go back. By now we've not found them. He's going to get worried about us. He'll say, not worry about the donkeys. You need to get back so I know you're okay. And he's ready to turn around. And in verse 6 and 9, did I give 6 and 9 to anybody?
Yeah.
What do those say?
And see if it goes up by the way of his own coast of Bethshemesh, then he has done us this great evil. But if
What-
not, then
where you
we
at?
shall know.
Where are you at?
6 and 9.
Now, what chapter?
1 Samuel 6 and 9.
No, chapter 9.
Oh, chapter 9.
Verse 6 and verse 9.
Oh.
You're all right.
Verse 9?
6 and 9.
Okay.
Chapter 9.
6 through 9? Or?
Just 6 and 9.
Okay. And he said unto him, behold now, there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man. All that he saith cometh surely to pass. Now let us go thither, peradventure he can show us our way that we should go. Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer.
So
Seer.
the servant says, let's first go into town. There's a prophet there we're going to go see. I want you to think about the fact that while Saul was moving in one direction, thinking, I'm out here looking for 3 crazy donkeys. I've been out here for 3 days. I've not found them, and I'm going to turn around and go back. While he's going in one direction, God is moving in another. Because, the matter of fact, if we take what's in the Bible, in this very part of 1 Samuel, God had already spoken to the prophet about Saul's arrival and coming. God was already working on both sides of this. This is what it means to be on a prophetic journey. in our lives. It happened to Saul in this example, the basket maker, the slingshot maker, the innkeeper, and guess what now? It's happening to you. It's happening to you. It's time to root out what has been holding us hostage from God's plan. Look at 1 Samuel 9, 15 and 16. What did those two verses say?
Now the Lord had said Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, Tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cries is come unto me.
The day before Saul and the servant decided to go find him, God had already told the prophet, and he already had told him in his ear, as the Bible records, which brings us the question of, are we listening to God's words to us when we're overwhelmed in life and what we're dealing with? Okay, 17 through 19, I think we're up to that.
And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, Behold, the man whom I speak to thee of, this same shall reign over my people. Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, Tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me today, and tomorrow I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thy heart.
Think about this for a moment. Saul's out here looking for 3 donkeys. He ain't found them. 3 days later, he's ready to turn around. Servant says, let's go find the prophet in the city. They go into town. And when they do, suddenly, one's walking toward the other. Do you know that right here at this very point in time, the paths of 2 men who are strangers, they did not know each other. Samuel and Saul did not know each other. On journeys of their own with separate agendas, hurtled into one another with power enough to unlock the prophecy that was given of a future king with an eternal kingdom, as mentioned in the Bible. So before Saul could get a word in, the Bible, even if you continue reading in this chapter, before Saul could even get a word in, Samuel goes on to inform him that those donkeys that you're looking for, don't worry about it. They're already found and taken care of, and they're ready and waiting for you to take them home. If you read on in the chapter, you'll find that this is exactly what happened. So he stays and he eats, and the next day, Samuel makes Saul send the servant back home ahead of him, and then he begins to prophesy over and anoint Saul as the first king of Israel. If you don't believe that you're on a journey, the Bible displays this every way possible. And sometimes it takes losing donkeys to discover what God's plan is all about. Now, somebody had, was it Karen that had Psalms 37:23? Okay.
The
What is that?
steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way.
Anybody notice the difference in this one and what she read? I'll amaze you for a moment. I put this up here for a reason. According to this reference, that's the King James Bible. When I checked it, it did not match. But according to the publisher, this is the King James Bible. God orders our steps. Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Whatever you're going through now, and whatever the enemy's trying to use to destroy us, can be the very thing God will use to lead you to where you're supposed to be. And in Saul's case, God used a loss in his life to shift him in the direction where he would encounter a prophet that would forever change his life. A young man went out looking for donkeys and came back home, yet with the kingdom. So there was something missing in Saul's life. If we look at that, there was something missing in Saul's life. Have you ever been sitting wondering at a point in your life or a season in life where you think that something is missing? Something just doesn't seem to be there. And sometimes the very reason that we find what God's plan for our lives is because we went looking for what was missing. Some may feel defeated. You think about how many people in life, Sharon, I'm going to use her example because she just said this a minute ago. She has started and stopped smoking how many times over your life? How many times have you stopped smoking and started it back?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Some people, because of doing that very thing, of stopping something and then starting it back, feels that they're defeated by the fact that they're giving in or going back to an old habit or an old problem that's occurred. Many times the challenges of things in life come and we feel defeated because here it is again. It's came back and we're back where we started. The thing that we've got to learn and realize tonight, overwhelmed with life. Now we're in the battle. The end time battle is raging. You're in it. He is not only coming, but he's coming soon. Do you know what our problem is tonight?
Not looking for it.
Huh?
Not looking for it.
That could be a problem. How many people, Roger, do you think are looking for Jesus? Let's just go there first. How many people tonight
A lot of so-called Christians
are what? A lot of the so-called Christians are what?
we're not looking for it.
Right. But think about that tonight. How many people are looking for him?
Hold on, not expecting.
Yeah. He knows it. He already said he's going to come like a thief in the night. He doesn't know it's going to be a shocker to many. Although they may not claim that in their life here, it's going to be a shocker to many. But you know what the saddest thing, the problem with us in our lives right now? What the problem is? Right here.
Too many don't.
It's time that we quit chasing the donkeys.
They got picking their nose.
Yeah, look at that.
This is representation. This is more of Hannah's friends, by the way. But this is representation of our lives right here. Busy, 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 busy. Run, run, run. Do, do, do. Go, go, go. That's our lives. Chasing donkeys. And here's what's interesting to me about us. We try to fix everything. How many people try to make sure that the Thanksgiving meal is as best as it can be? Have you ever seen women when they're cooking Thanksgiving, they get so hateful you can't be in the kitchen around them because they'll threaten you with a spoon? It's real, ain't it? They've done it. The rush. I gotta get it right. Everything's gotta be right. Put everything in its place on the table. Don't set that there. It needs to go over here. Christmas comes. Now we're trying to get everything arrayed in order and rush, do, go. We're back to the busyness. We're still chasing donkeys. Still chasing donkeys. In our mind, just like Saul, we're just out chasing donkeys. The interesting thing is what has God already done with the issues of life? That's what we need to think in our mind right now. What has God already done with our issues of life? What do you think? God gave you a mouth, 2 ears, 2 eyes. Use them. What's God done with the issues of life? What do you think? Do we know? Are we? This is how we prove people's chasing donkeys right here. The silence. They're still looking for the donkeys. What does God say about the issues of life? Let's give me some Bible references.
See, I already know what you have to do to food around.
So he already knows that we need those things. But then he says to what? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Because why? He's coming, and he's coming soon. Then, let's add to that. Not only that, he already has taken care of the issues of life. I cannot tell you how many people sits in a Bible study, a Sunday school class, or a church service and agrees with the teacher or preacher all day long of, oh yes, God has got it taken care of. And all they are doing in their life is chasing donkeys. That's true. They're chasing donkeys. Because if reality is, we've got to see the purpose that God has for you. Everybody in here has a plan, part of the plan in the will of God. Everybody in here has a purpose. You were created with a purpose, right? If we're out chasing donkeys, we don't see that. God is setting a point. Think about this for a moment. We're so busy with our schedules. How many of you have forgotten to do something that you were supposed to do? You forgot to pay a bill. You forgot a doctor's appointment. You messed up on scheduling something else you were trying to keep up with everything that was going on. Have you done it? It's happened. Plenty of people have done it. But here's what's interesting about our lives. While we're out chasing the donkeys, God is setting appointments ahead of you. There's appointments set ahead of you. One in particular is the fact you're going to meet him, whether it be face-to-face immediate or you die, one or the other. There is an appointment out there. You're going to meet him. But before that appointment, God has got other appointments set for you in your life. And you think about the fact that he's opening doors for you right now. I will say this because it's proof, and Tim probably already knows this, but I can't tell you how long that Tim's name was requested in this room in prayer before he's sitting there. You agree? That's real right there, ain't it? Many times, names given out in prayer requests, and they're sitting here. God is opening doors. It's not he can. He is opening the doors. He is setting appointments out there in front of us all for us. He does all this for me and you while we're chasing the donkeys. See, Saul on his way to find the donkeys did not realize that God had done set a man out there, a prophet, that's about to anoint him to be the king over Israel. We came all through time, and I love this part because it's so interesting how the Bible goes on to portray. The big day comes, and all of Israel's gathered out, and they're having a heck of a festival. I mean, they've got it out everywhere. The women's dancing in the streets. They've got all the banners and flyers streaming. You got all this festival, and everything's going on, but there's one problem. Anybody know what the problem is? Saul is nowhere to be found. Now, they've anointed him to be the king of Israel. We're having a big celebration. They call out his name. Again, nothing. Never hear it. Who had 1 Samuel 10:22? Who did I give that to?
That was me.
What did it say?
Oh, hold on. I get to quote here. Okay. Therefore they inquired of the Lord further, if the man should yet come thither. And the Lord answered, behold, he had hid himself among the stuff.
He hid himself among the what?
What? This is King James Version. Among the stuff.
Huh.
Is that right?
Well, we'll find out in just a minute. 1 Samuel 10:22 says, yeah, hid himself among the stuff. That is right.
That's right.
Saul, think about this. We got the big celebration going on. Everybody's ready. We're getting ready to inaugurate him as the king of Israel. Everything's ready to go. Call out his name. Nothing. He's not there. The Bible records that Saul was so insecure that he could not step out and do what God was calling him to do. And instead, as the Bible records in 1 Samuel 10:22, he hid himself among the stuff. He hid himself among the stuff. See, it's easy for you and I to miss what God has for us if we're not willing to let go of stuff. See, there's some more stuff. Chasing donkeys. I got to get all this done. Now listen, if I don't get that stuff made before Sunday, I'll have to miss church to get this done because so-and-so's coming over. That's chasing donkeys. You know that? That's chasing donkeys. If I don't get this stuff done because I've got to get it done and do it right, I'm going to miss church because this has to be done. That's chasing donkeys. That's stuff. We hide behind doing stuff and not God's business. We miss out on too much by doing these things because of that. The Bible gives us these three lines right here I'm going to give you. The Bible gives us this very clearly. And I did not pull this from any Bible verses, but we're going to use this to demonstrate to you some things you need to get in mind about being overwhelmed. How many of you used to go out and decorate like the Griswolds? And now you might not. We got some in church that don't put a tree up. Used to, they look like the Griswolds at their house. How the electric about had to run on the line to them sometimes. And now they don't do that. But they used to. When they had kids, people were young, stuff like that, and all that. As time goes on and the busy, rustle, things are keeping us busy. This is what we need to focus on right here. We can find all the excuses of why we are not the one for the job. You can say I'm too young or I'm too old. You can say I don't know what I'm doing. You can say you're not worthy. I've heard many drug addicts say that they can't get clean enough. They're not sober enough to be able to even testify for what God has done for them. We can find all kinds of excuses of why we're not the one for the job. But the Bible defines us and declares to us that not only are we the ones chosen to do the work, this is the place of where the work is to be done. This is the battlefield. This is where you're at in your life. You're living. And guess what? Now is the time. Some easy examples was Moses. He didn't want to be the leader. He said, my speech ain't good. They're not going to listen. And Gideon. In other words, Gideon pretty much said, I'm not the guy. I am the least of all. I am the least of all. You can't redo what you've done, but you can turn yourself around and live a life that counts for the kingdom. Who had 2 Corinthians 6:2? Okay, what does that say?
I heard thee and accepted in the day of salvation. I secured thee. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation.
Behold, now is the accepted time, and now is the day. This is the place, this is the time, and you're the one. We think that God is going to do something out in the distance in the future. God's going to do something big and it's coming. No, God's here and now. We're here right now. In the middle of the wilderness without food or drink, God told Moses something interesting, and he told them to stay. Now they're in the wilderness out here roaming all this time. And you know how they got to groaning about the fact that here we've come out here to no water, no food, and we're going to sit out here and starve, and we're going to die out here because we followed Moses. We should turn around and go back. But you know what God told Moses to do when they were needing water in the desert, in the wilderness? You know what God told Moses to do?
Hit the rope.
Huh?
Smack the rope.
Nope. Before that. Numbers 21, 17, and 18. Chris has got those. He's going to tell us what those said.
Then Israel sang this song, Spring up, O well, sing ye unto it. The princes digged the well, the nobles of the people digged it, by the direction of the lawgiver with their staves. And from the wilderness they went to Matana.
So, in the middle of the wilderness with no food and drink, God told Moses not only to stay, but then he told him to get out the choir and start singing. Now, can you imagine in your minds thinking you're starving to death? You have no food, no water. You're in this barren land. We'll just put you in the desert as an example. You're in the desert, and the first thing that God tells you to do is strike up the choir. Just get to singing. Now, what's your mind at this point in time? Just think about this for a minute. The Bible records in Numbers 21 that Israel sang this song. And then, as Brother just mentioned, they started beating their staves on the ground. Can you imagine the dust that was boiling from all this beating on the ground, and people already in their minds with nothing to eat or drink thinking they're going to die? But when they continue doing this, what does the Bible say happens? Water started coming out of the ground. See, if you start saying and believing that this is the place, now is the time, and I am the one, you're the one with the work to do. You're where you need to be to do it, and now is the time to be doing it. God places us in those examples. Things don't have to be opportune, perfect of what we want to see and have to go, but we have to start saying it and believing it ourselves. Now, Robert had Ecclesiastes 9:4. What did that say?
For to him that is joined to all the living, there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion.
as powerful as a lion is, if he's dead, his power is no more, it's nothing more than a lost opportunity. If the lion is dead, he has no power whatsoever. For him, it's over. Did you know that if you wait until it's too late, you'll miss something that God had in store for you because you waited? Did you know that? You could even possibly miss your purpose of what God has set you out to do. You could miss some of the plan that God has for you in your life. Do we realize the fact that it's better, the Bible says, to be a living dog? To be one that is not powerful, has no driven predatorial purpose, to be powerful and mighty like the lion. It is better to be a living dog than a dead lion. You think about the fact that in your life, when are we going to stop saying, one day I'm going to? That's the question I've got. When are we going to stop saying, one day I'm going to? I can just see God eye rolling and everybody says, yep, I'm going to do it someday. I'm going to get to that, Robert, someday. When the day comes, I'll do it. How many people put off? God is opening the door today. He is setting appointments for you today. He is setting out things ahead, making everything in place for us today. He's already taken care of the issues of life. When we are getting overwhelmed, guess where the problem is? You're chasing the donkeys. You're back to chasing donkeys. When life gets so overwhelming that we just can't find ourselves and things are just too much is getting on our shoulders and we're getting so overwhelmed in life, it's because we're chasing donkeys. Instead of now is the time, this is the place, and you are the one. And we have a work to do, set apart. Set apart with a special purpose. Every one of us has a special purpose in life. If we're getting overwhelmed, we need to realize that sometimes God has to, just like it says in Deuteronomy, the eagle has to rustle that nest up and get you moving to get you out to fly. To mount them wings up as eagles, you have to get out of that nest of security to start doing more for the Lord. You know, if we can get, and I don't know, Tony read it off recently in business meeting, how many salvations, baptisms, and joined and all this. If we get the results in 1 year of that, with however many is moving, what would we get if every single person on the church books was in the building on Sunday, truly worshiping the Lord? What effect would we have? What would really happen? If the minds of the church people in the church house on Sunday morning were to do the very driven will of God and not be chasing donkeys during the preaching, which a lot of people do. Their mind is wandering so far out. The devil's got them so worried about something a week away, 2 weeks away, tomorrow. Got that in mind, that end time battle that's raging right here. It's going on right here. This is where your battle rages all the day long. But you think about how much chasing donkeys is going on in a church service. If everybody had their mind on the Lord, had their mind on what their job is to do, their purpose, where God is taking them, what doors He's opening, what things He's setting out for them, what a different place, what a different environment we would see. And it's all possible. There's nothing impossible by that, because we all are more than conquerors. And in order for you to manage dealing with things that overwhelm you, you have to become one that the Bible calls an overcomer. Have to become an overcomer. Anybody else got anything to add tonight?